This is Dan Gilman,
And Zach Gazarowski of Mygamer.com.
and this week we are playing Tales of Xillia 2.
The sequel to Xillia 1.
Yeah, well, I mean, as implied by, the number 2 after it. I have a new TV, so... Oh, that's why. It's on fucking Econo? The fuck would it be on Econo? I'm sitting here and I'm like, why is it so dark? And it's like, oh, it's Econo mode.
Oh.
Everyone loves Econo. No, fuck you. I don't want it on Econo mode. Stop telling me I want it on Econo mode.
Technical difficulties. No problem. We'll get through it.
Game, because that's what I'm doing. Alright. So this is sort of a direct sequel-ish.
And now, you played the hell out of the first one.
Yep.
Right? And now, how far are you into the second one here?
A couple hours. I can check my save file.
Oh, it's still new, though.
Yeah, I mean, these are 40-plus hours long.
Yeah, these are big RPGs.
Yeah.
So what's going on here with the sequel?
Of course, you fucking ask me that as I'm drinking water. Oh, okay, let's ask Dan that so we can have an awkward moment of silence. So I could either spit it out and sound like a jerk or not say anything. So I don't know, actually. There's like some weird shit going on with watches.
Yeah, I saw that was in the collector's edition. If you, for like $120, $130 or something, you can get the collector's edition. And it came with like a replica watch that's in the game or something.
Yeah, so the one thing I have to say about the Tales of games is that if you can, you should always buy the collector's edition.
Why? Because they're valuable? Because they're really cool?
Well, yeah, because they go up in value, like almost fucking instantly. I think an open one of the Tales of Xillia that came with, it wasn't even like a huge figure or a great figure. That came with a figure of one of the main characters of the last game.
Mm-hmm.
It like started at $100 when it first came out, and if you opened it, it was $150 the day it came out.
Oh wow! Yeah, so
if you can, pre-order
it's it's like that stuff like that. Like it's not going to go down in value.
Well, that's the thing. Is like I have the collector's edition of Gears of War and like some of the Halo stuff, and the problem is so does fucking everyone else.
Yeah, I mean those games sell millions of copies, whereas Xillia not so much.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the difference is like I could pre-order Halo the Master Chief Collection, or Halo the Halo 3, the kitty helmet one.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
I could get that the day it came out.
Yeah, there were still copies floating around.
Whereas, like, with the Tales games, you can't pre-order the collector's editions 2 months before the game comes out.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be on the spot when they come out.
Right. Yeah, these RPGs are good for that.
Yeah.
The weird, highly collectible, unique, pre-order only kind of thing, special edition.
Yes. Like weird shit that, what was it, like Lunar, when you got the pre-order only Lunar, it came with like a pendant and a bunch of other shit.
Yeah, I had that. The original Silver Star story complete came with like a little art book. It came with like a making of disc. Came with the music CD. Came with all this other stuff.
Yeah.
stuff that the fans really want. Like the music CD, the soundtrack.
Yeah, it was stuff that you weren't just gonna, you know, normally, and it was back in the day, you weren't gonna get that.
Yeah.
And with the Xillia stuff, they normally give you kind of where am I going? Duvall, okay. They kind of give you interesting stuff when you get it to begin with. Like the last time it was a figure and a couple other things. I kind of hate fucking art books, in all honesty.
Yeah, I think art books is the kind of like the easy way out, because they have to make the art where, like, okay, let's just slap the high-res version on a piece of paper and just send it to a printer to print a book. So it's like they don't really, like, it's not a whole lot of extra, like, work involved, as opposed to, like, an action figure.
I've gotten art books that were black and white. And at that point, I was just like, what the fuck is the point?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so you look at it real quick for, 1 minute, just kind of flipping through the pages. You're not going to, like, study it. It's not, unless it comes with, like, unique art that's not found in the game or gives backstory or something like that, but that's more of like a novel, as opposed to just, like, here's the art. Again, I think it's just kind of the easy way out. Like, I can see why they do it, but I would rather have a soundtrack.
Well, yes.
I'd rather have a CD.
Soundtracks kind of fucking annoy me too.
They're not. Yeah. Well, it depends on the game. It depends on obviously the quality of music. But it's always like if Xillia 2 here came with the music CD, I'd be like, well, I don't really know, because I haven't played it yet. I don't know if it's good or not.
Well, the Tales games normally have pretty good soundtracks.
Yeah.
It's like RPGs. Final Fantasy. Like you can bitch about whatever you want in Final Fantasy. The music is not one of those things.
Yeah, it's always top tier.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't mind. Yeah, I'd rather have a music CD over an art book.
Yeah.
It's functional. A little more functional, I think.
Yeah, you rip it to iTunes and fucking forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the Disgaea pre-order stuff for a while was like, oh, choose the tracks that are on the Disgaea pre-order stuff. And it was just, okay, you want me to choose tracks? I don't know any of these that well offhand. Because, I've played Disgaea for a couple 100 hours.
Right.
And it was, like, from the previous tracks. But it's like, 100 hours into it, I pretty much am like, so I'm just going to mute this and turn on another TV.
Yeah.
Or
if you're playing any game for 100 hours, I mean, you're
or an audio book, or, I think playing Disgaea, like, I ended up, Disgaea, the first one, I ended up listening to one of the Dark Tower books in its entirety, playing it.
That was like the same thing. I played like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance for 100 hours, so you just hear those same tracks, over and over.
Yeah, because you like go and level grind and do all this shit,
exactly.
And it's just like you're like I don't even care, so I just muted it, and like on my computer I had like one of Stephen King's Dark Tower series, and I'm just like, I'll listen to this in its entirety.
So now, Xillia 2, this takes place after the events of the first one, after the conclusion of the first one, or is this like a prequel?
No, after the conclusion of the first one.
Okay.
So in the first one,
what's going on right here with the analog sticks, or if the stream is catching up? But what was that all about?
Okay, so when that stuff pops up, you are you are given a choice. The main character, who is the guy with like the white hair with like the black tips,
all right,
he doesn't really speak. You get dialogue options, and you choose between them. And like he'll say like one lines, like, or like he don't say, but every time that he would say a dialogue, you get a dialogue choice.
Okay. And you just flick the analog stick to the one that you want.
It's the shoulder buttons, so it's
shoulder button. All right.
It's L1 or R1. And the game starts out. The review on the site mentioned this, but it starts out with you in a tremendous amount of debt. You are 20 million gold, which is the fantasy currency, in debt, and you have to like pay your way out. And so basically, if you were able to pay it back directly in the beginning of the game, you could. They lift your travel. They can lift your travel restrictions to go anywhere in the game. But as it is, like right now, my travel restrictions are kind of 2 or 3 places that I can bounce between. So, nothing super impressive.
And then I heard that like a lot of, well, not a lot, but you get a lot of like repeat levels. Like it's almost like the same like worlds and towns.
It is though. It's a direct sequel.
Yeah.
So spoilers for the first game, I guess.
Yeah.
Very, very late in the. Who were you typing to?
Oh, I'm just typing stuff.
Oh, okay, fine. Just ignore me then.
2 things at once.
Yeah. Very late in the first game, it's revealed that it had kind of been hinted, of course, the entire time, but that there is really a second world that's a part of, like, that's not directly interacting with your world, which, is kind of your standard Tales story.
Yeah.
It's, like one of 2 stories Tales does.
Okay.
And so you end up going there, and at the end of it, you join the 2 worlds together, and so you're going back and forth between them. So but the problem is, when you beat the first game, it was kind of like the entire second world, they ran out of funding. Like the first game was really, really fucking good and really in depth. Yeah. Like, there was a lot in the first world, and it went on forever, and crazy shit just kept happening, and like everyone had motivation, and literally it was like you get tossed into the second world almost by accident, and you're like, oh man, shit's about to get real, and then you go to 3 locations and that's it. And like, so far I've kind of only been in the new world that you barely went to, and there was like a town and 1 repeat area, but everything else it's kind of fleshing out.
I wonder how many people actually like play through long RPGs like this. Or they just kind of play it for maybe a few hours, get tired of it, and quit. Like, because maybe a lot of people didn't see the end of the game like how you did if you played all the way through.
Yeah. I know that the thing is, like, I know the standard statistic is, it's like, what is it? Less than 10% of the people who buy your game see the ending.
Oh, I would, yeah.
Well,
I would go with that.
Well, then you get like people who are terrible like me, and it's like, dude, I don't know if I've opened 10% of the games I own.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way. You buy a game just because it's cheap and on sale.
There has been a time like that I bought a PS2 game because the shelf that I had at the time had 1 Xbox One game on it, or like original Xbox game on it. So I was just like, if I buy a PS2 game, it'll even out that shelf.
Yeah. See?
So it's all PS2.
Uh-huh.
And so it was just like, yeah, I've never played Killer 7, but I bought it.
Mm-hmm. I have it too, and I don't think I've
ever played it. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I would totally believe that statistic, but in the same way, like, you get people, like, it's like this weird thing that a bunch of people in our generation kind of have done, where, like, we only got video games, like our parents saw them as, like, big purchases, as they rightfully are.
Oh, yeah.
And we only kind of got them, like, maybe birthdays
and like Christmas, maybe like graduation. You only got maybe a few games a year
if you really yeah.
If you were well off,
like my parents, like, I would get one for Easter, kind of thing.
Sure.
they'd be like, yeah, you get an Easter basket and a video game.
That's actually, I never got one for Easter. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Well, my parents, like, instead of giving me, like, a lot of little shit that I would never use, they were just like, we'll spend $40-$50 on a video game for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you are smart.
That's cool. That's a good pull.
Yeah, exactly. So, I would get, like, 2 video games for Christmas, 1 or 2 for my birthday, and, like, 1 for Easter.
See? Yeah, that's how, back in, like, the NES days and stuff, that was it. So you got one game and you just played the shit out of it.
Yeah, and so when I started working at, like, 14 or 16... all of my money went into video games.
Yeah, mine too.
And it's like, instantly it was like, oh, and I can trade these back in. So I kept very few of them.
And plus, games didn't come out every Tuesday like how they do now. They just kind of like showed up.
Yeah, exactly.
At the store. Like, there was no release dates and stuff like that. So, you just kind of got around to playing, like, oh, hey, this game is available. I think I might buy it or go out and rent it at Blockbuster.
I had the original Lunar paid off for over a year, and they kept pushing the release date.
Yep. It would happen.
Yeah.
I remember, like, Turok 2 on N64 got delayed, like, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months.
I never even liked the first Turok.
Yeah, me neither. But there was nothing to play on N64, so, like, I need something, and this is, like, the only thing that might be kind of good.
I got the N64 and then Mario 64 and borrowed like 3 games from friends. Mm-hmm. And it was like Wave Race, which I hated.
Blast Corps.
Yeah, we rented Blast Corps, which I kind of hated. And then like
Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
I don't even think it was that. I think it was something else like fucking more obscure than that. Shadows of the Empire.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
Because that was huge when it came out.
Yeah, I played that game and I beat it actually.
Yeah, doesn't the main character die at the end of it?
I don't remember.
Like he hyper jumps into an asteroid belt.
It's like that game. You can just tell this is an early like 3D game with an analog stick. We don't really know what the hell's going on and how to make this yet. Kind of an attempt,
Yeah, well, I mean,
like you cannot go back and play it today. It's awful.
No, it's fucking atrocious. But at the time,
you didn't know any better, and you would play the game until you would just finish it, because you had really nothing else to play. Very limited selection. Unlike today, where games come out not only on console but on PC, on your phone, they're all over the place. So
yeah,
you got to kind of be choosy now. Which is the exact, we all work, so we have a little bit extra money, so we can spend, money on games as opposed to, like, I'm just going to save up for a year, doing chores for $5 a week until I can buy a game.
Because Nintendo Power said this fucking game was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have a lot of games that I've never fucking played.
Well, that's good that you were able to beat Xillia, because, and you were able to kind of experience the whole thing in the story. So I know we're still playing, or this is, early on in Xillia 2, but...
so the guy who punches things in the lab coat, is... So Xillia had 2 main characters. It was...
Is Xillia the land that you're in?
Yes. It's almost always named after the Earth or whatever.
World, the world, the environment, yes.
That you're on.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, you're in Xillia. So that... he was the main character in the first one. Jude, he was one of the main characters. It had an arc. You could choose one of 2 people, and the story would actually change depending on.
Oh, okay.
It not really change, but you'd see it from different angles. Like, you had a guy in your party that was a traitor, who was leaking information to the enemy the entire time he was in your party, and if you knew that, you could actually see him distracting people while the enemy came and attacked, while they were doing stuff.
So it kind of, is it worth it to go multiple playthroughs?
Well, yeah, because the Tales of games always, they always have that little extra feature that when you play through again, it's like times 10 experience, times 100 gold. So one of the things that I'm, think might be kind of interesting this time, like, to go through again this time is, you have to pay money back. Well, if I can get times 50 gold and, go back to, go back through and do it that way, like, am I going to be able to pay off the entire debt in, like, the first 10 minutes of the game? And then, like, they're just like, I don't know, travel restrictions are just lifted. Do whatever the fuck you want.
I'm watching you play here, and I can't help but notice how like fast the battle system is, which is, I really like that. Like, it doesn't waste your time. Like, you're fighting, you kill a guy, you do a quick battle pose while it adds up all your gold and stuff, and then bam, you're right back.
Yeah, they've been like that for a while.
It is just it's just one right after another. There's no obnoxious victory poses. It just goes. It tries to hit you from point A to point B as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
I really like that. It respects your time, and I really appreciate that. I would hope more RPGs would do that.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because they definitely do have, here's a quest, grind for a while on it, kind of like side quests and stuff that you can do to earn, a little extra money every now and then.
And you see the enemies on screen. It's not just,
Oh, yeah, and you can completely avoid... I can run through a zone without encountering damn near any of them.
And then when you're fighting now in the combat, is it just kind of button mashing, or is there, like...
No, it's, oh, wow, they can fucking activate a combo.
What are you picking up here? Is this part of the mission? Those, like, little yellow things?
Those are... In the last game... You could donate those to a shop, and it would level up the shop. So all item shops always had the same items in them. And all weapon shops would have the same weapons. So what you could do is, if you walked around and picked up, here's the beautiful feather, and you kept picking them up, you could eventually donate them and grind out, like, really awesome weapons and stuff.
Okay.
And in this one, like, randomly people will just be like, I don't know, I need stuff to fertilize my garden. I need 40 monster dung. I'll give you, 20,000 gold for it.
Okay.
And, so you'll get a ton of money for handing that stuff in.
Well, that's kind of cool that you level up the shop as opposed to, okay, I'm in a new town and here's a new set of
yeah, it's kind of the old way in this one.
Yeah.
But in the same instance, they've put, like, way more... They've kind of gated the way that you move around more in this one. But I also kind of like the way that they're like, if you want to grind it out, you can fucking grind out 20 million gold and just be done with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how it's just fast. I mean, look at how you can just knock out this battle, like, 1, 2, 3...
Yeah,
it seems like you're kind of. Maybe you're just like overpowered.
I'm a little overpowered.
Which is like you gotta be it in RPGs. You want to be a little overpowered, so when you actually go to your mission, you can make it to the end, make it to the boss.
Yeah, but in Tales, like the recent Tales games, random battles, even when you're adequately leveled, are kind of fast. And if you're like on top of it, like, just like doing one hit will, bring back one, like swinging my sword once gives me 1 technique point back. And, so doing that, I can slowly build back up how much, like, techniques I can do.
So if you attack, you run out of attack points? Is that...
yeah, well, attack points are, like, just... So I can't just spam it and just, like, kill the monster instantly. Like, right now my character only has 5. It's something you gain more of when you level up. So I attack 5 times in a row, have to pause for a second,
and can attack 5.
And technique points are for your special abilities. It's basically magic.
Oh, okay.
And so the cool thing about that, though, is, when you're doing standard battles, your healers, as long as they're actively engaging in combat, they don't run out of magic.
Oh, because you just get...
They keep keep getting their magic back, basically. So, like, you can, if you're adequately leveled for the area, you can fight a boss, like, an elite encounter, which is kind of an optional boss, is what they call them. In the area, fight a couple monsters, and your guys are back at full health. Just because the healer will punch a couple things, be like, oh, I'll heal you. Punch a couple things. Oh, here's another heal.
Yeah, because you only control you're just controlling the guy here with no shoes on and 2 swords, right?
Yeah, well, and that's a special outfit that I've put him in.
Yeah.
The Tales game.
And then the computer player just plays as the other guys, then, right?
Yeah. The Tales games, you've always been able to plug in other controllers and play the other characters. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you were to come over, you could play one of the other guys.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it does help quite a bit.
I think the GameCube version started that.
Yeah, Symphonia.
Symphonia, yeah.
I think the Super Nintendo ones might have had it, and the PlayStation ones.
Maybe.
But to, like, a way lesser extent. Like, I mean, those were the ones that you were still fighting in 2D.
Yeah, right.
Which is kind of fucking ridiculous.
How is the friendly AI then? If you got a healer on your party, is the AI a dumbass? Will it heal you when you need it? Will it just waste points?
I've never really had an issue. You can always go in and change the strategy that they have.
Yeah.
So I can be like, asshole, stop using items.
Mm-hmm.
Or, just use items freely, whatever, I'm rolling in fucking money. But, or like, straight out attack, don't do anything else. Don't use magic, don't use techniques.
Yeah.
You can change
that's usually one of the negative things, is the AI never really acts how you want in RPGs. Or they're really stupid, they get stuck on walls.
The only time I've ever had to micromanage them in a Tales game is during a boss battle.
Yeah. Which can be longer anyway.
Yeah, like, you're going to be stuck in them for a while.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to... you have to micromanage fucking... Even if you control every party member, like, that's not something that you can kind of just, like, jam on the A button through.
Yeah.
Or X button, as the case would be.
So do you have a medium attack, a strong attack?
I have one attack, and then I have different...
your abilities?
Yeah, different abilities that I can do. And what those are, so X is my standard attack, and then I have a block attack that I can do, and then it's...
And you assign those attacks, though,
right? My moves, my special moves I do,
yes.
Yeah. And that's, like, so... Like, hitting circle by itself is one, hitting up is one, and circle, hitting down and circle is one, and then the directionals and circle is one.
Oh.
So I can have 4 at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
So that, works out.
That's good. It keeps... this game obviously has a big focus on combat, so it needs to have a lot of moves and combo abilities at your fingertips and customizable. That's good. And so is the combat system the same as the first Xillia?
The combat's almost not changed. Some of the stuff, like, certain things have changed. Xillia it was pretty close to... I'm trying to think of how to describe it correctly. What was it? The sphere grid from Final Fantasy X?
Yeah.
It had something kind of similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
So... Yeah, it has, like, these orbs that you equip, and they give you, and, like, you earn different kind of experience equipping different orbs.
So from a guy then who's played through the first game and probably spent 40, 60 hours, you're a few hours into this game, would you say that you're bored of the combat system now, or is it getting better as you play it?
The Tales games don't really change up the combat system.
Yeah.
A huge amount. They're kind of samey between. I was kind of annoyed with the last couple Tales games because they did away with the overworld map. So they're all kind of just like, here's like, this one map. Walk to the edge of it. Here's this other map. for me, that kind of always makes the world feel small.
Yeah, and I guess you got to give it a little bit of props because just to have like a real time, kind of like almost like a fighting game combat system as opposed to like strictly menu based. Like the Tales games, yeah, they've always been the same, but not a lot of RPGs have like copied it. You know.
So I guess the next Tales game that's coming out that I'm not even gonna try and fucking pronounce. You don't even like this one. How it like goes into like a different screen for it. That doesn't even fucking happen.
Oh.
Yeah, like so you're just on the battlefield. And
so kind of like Final Fantasy 12 or something. Or
sort of, but I think it like opens up. Like it just kind of silently opens up a battle thing, like a battle overlay. So I don't know, like if it's going to be like the other enemies fade away, if they can kind of jump in.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be.
It's kind of like I mean, you kind of would expect that, I think, from the next Tales game. You know, given how there's been a million Tales games so far, and just to try to do something different and just streamline the gameplay, make it feel like a next gen kind of game. You can kind of see, it seems to just like to be the next logical step.
Yeah, like I say, they're not afraid of changing the formula, but fuck, man, there's a Tales game coming out like twice a year at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, this has been more than...
We have...
Xillia 2. Xillia 2 just came out, what, like...
Yeah, Xillia 1 came... I think we might have fucking streamed Xillia 1.
Yeah, we just streamed it, what, a couple months ago?
No, that was the Tales of Symphonia Collection?
Oh.
So,
but I thought we played Xillia. I thought...
We might have done that, like, last year.
Oh, I can't remember now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think this might be the third Tales of game that we've done since we've started streaming.
I'm getting them all mixed up now.
Yeah, so... I'm not, like, bashing Tales or anything, because I love these games, but...
You keep buying them.
Yeah, and I keep beating them. I play through all of them.
It says you keep buying them and playing them to the end, which says a lot with the game that's going to take up 40 to 50, 60 hours of your life.
Yeah. So I really like them, but in the and they're not afraid to mix stuff up, but I guess you kind of have to be when you release fucking 2 a year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty good for this week.
Yeah, Xillia. Check it out.
Xillia.
I mean, there's not really like, I don't know if there's like a bad Tales game. Like you kind of know what you're getting. Like it's
there are
like
less good Tales games.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend a bunch of them on the PlayStation. That wasn't when they were at their finest.
Right. Something more current, of course. Not the original games, maybe not as much.
Yeah. They haven't weathered as well. But right. For this week, I've been Dan Gilman. As always, you can find me on mygamer.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Gilman or on my personal website, varms.net.
And I am Zach Gazarowski. You can follow me at ZachGaz, ZACKGAZ. Of course, check out mygamer.com and my personal blog at squallsnake.com.
All right, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can't stream next week, but we'll think of something good for you.
We are taking time off to celebrate Labor Day week. So, we'll see you guys later.